9:05 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Mac Morey, the producer. Ken Weaver in the newsroom. And you, the most important member of our crew, the fourth man, on the Super Text line and on the phone line, 615-737-9986. Same number for both. Hey, Mac, our friend Todd is already listening.
Whoa, Todd.
Todd is a regular Super Texter. And normally he checks in around 9:40 and says, "What did I miss, guys?" But Todd's here.
Way to go, Todd.
So let's get this show started. We're about to, Todd.
Finally fixed the alarm.
All right, we do have a big show today. Woo! As you know, the impeachment inquiry seems to be getting a green light or is on the way to getting a green light. It seems like even this announcement of the announcement into the investigation for the impeachment, like it's like always an extra step. Like breaking news, there's going to be an announcement about the investigation, about the impeachment. That's what Fox News was saying.
We begin the final hour of Fox and Friends with a Fox News alert. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is expected to tell House Republicans today that beginning an impeachment inquiry into President Biden is the logical next step.
Yeah, we've heard that. We've heard that. We know. We're going to ask Andy Ogles about it. Andy Ogles is joining the show around 10:30 today. Do you have any questions for Andy Ogle? Let me know on the Super Text line, 615-737-9986. Like I said, the most important member of our crew is you. So any questions that you want to get directly to Andy Ogles, let me be your liaison, you know? You can ask your questions vicariously through me, and I will be happy to oblige you and help out with that. You know, that's what we're here for. So whatever you want to ask Andy about this impeachment inquiry, 615-737-9986. Mac's going to have a running list of all the questions. So we'll do our best to get to all of them. During the Gang of Amigos, they wanted me to ask about Freddie O'Connell's, Andy Ogles' opinion on how Freddie O'Connell looks.
Just physically looks, just his appearance.
Just make sure that's at the top of the list, all right?
I gotcha. Yep.
Don't ask questions. Just do what you're told. You know who doesn't ask questions and just does what he's told? Well, that would be our resident-in-chief, Joe Biden. He was told to go to Alaska yesterday after his trip to Vietnam, where he was just blundering and bumbling and, doing his thing. So he goes to Alaska to celebrate 9/11 and remember the victims and, do all that stuff. One thing I noticed that was really weird, when they introduced him, and this has been making the rounds on the internet, when they introduced Joe Biden, none of the soldiers in attendance stood. It was interesting. They didn't stand. They waited until their captain was introduced before they stood. Seemed like they were disrespecting the president. Certainly appeared that way. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. Maybe the internet's getting to me. Maybe the internet's reading too much into it. Either way, it was interesting. It was something I noticed, and something a lot of people noticed. The president's introduced. The armed service members stay seated. Weird. Also weird was Biden opening up his remarks like this.
Governor Dunleavy, it's good to see you. Governor and I have something in common. We're both from Scranton, Pennsylvania. I wish I had him playing in my high school ball club when I was playing. But I could have been an All-American having you in front of me.
So that's how you open it up. Strong. I mean, it's a strong open.
He can throw a football over a mountain.
Hasn't he said that he was almost an All-American before anyway?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He loves the glory days.
He was a wingback.
Oh, yeah. Right. What was it? He said something else, right? It was something weird. He was like I don't know. Either way, he's a setback
it's like,
now.
Yeah, the wingback runs and then gets tackled by the tight end, and it's like, nope, that's just not what happens.
Setback.
Yeah. He's currently our setback. So that's the president, and that's how he opens the remarks with a football joke. Football. All right, thanks, sir. Thank you, sir. And then he goes on to just tell people stories about 9/11, and spoiler alert, they weren't true.
Ground Zero in New York And I remember standing there the next day and looking at the building. I felt like I was looking through the gates of hell. It looked so devastating because from where you could stand.
Yeah. So he was there the next day, according to his speech yesterday. Unfortunately, his own autobiography says that he wasn't there. He wasn't. And then, there's actually video of him on the floor the day after. And this isn't him at 9/11. This is him in D.C. the day after 9/11.
The senator is recognized.
Mr. President, I can't think of any other legislative body in the world where you would hear the speech you just heard by the junior senator from Virginia, where his heart is aching, his constituency, many in his constituency have died. Buildings in this state are still burning.
So he was in D.C. the day after 9/11. Weird. Did he misremember? Is it the dementia creeping in? What's happening, Joe? It's incredible how awful this president is. And it's even more incredible that every time we think that we've hit the peak of Joe Biden being awful, he does something like this. It's one thing if he's just crashing bikes and crashing economies. But when he goes to Maui and he talks about his Corvette, or when he goes to Alaska, breaking 22 years of tradition, being at one of the sites from 9/11, and says that he was there the day after, it's like, dude, you're just lying. You're just lying. Did you see Kamala in New York City?
No.
Oh, she looked like she was ready for the job.
Yes.
She just had a grin on her face. I'm going to be the president. That's it. I fully believe that she believes that she's going to be the president. There's no other question in her mind.
She's not burdened by what has been, so she's pretty clear-headed.
You're right. You're right. She doesn't get burdened by what has been. Also, a lot of the people on the super text line, again, just proving my point that you guys are the fourth man in the arena here. Flanker back was what Joe Biden said he was in football. He was a flanker back.
Yeah, flanker back.
Yep. Nice.
Hit a one state head coach put him in.
From flanker back to setback, here we are in 2023. I mean, it's just unbelievable. How does this guy get any worse? Oh, spoiler alert, he'll just give $6 billion to Iran for hostages on 9/11. Yep. So while he's bumbling through speeches, the Biden administration also reportedly approved that deal with Iran yesterday to pay that regime $6 billion in exchange for 5 detained American citizens. Yep. We talked about this a few weeks ago. Apparently now it's official. The deal, according to the AP, says the Biden administration is issuing a blanket waiver for international banks to transfer $6 billion in frozen Iranian money from South Korea to Qatar without U.S. sanctions. The money would then be held in Qatar's central bank for Iran to use reportedly for the purchase of humanitarian goods. It's for humanitarian purposes, guys. Nothing weird about that. No, it just, that's what happens. It was John Kirby a few weeks ago was on CNN, and Jake Tapper basically grilled him and said, this is a ransom payment. People think it's a ransom payment.
And certainly I could understand why the common man or woman out there might say, that's a ransom payment. I mean, I'm glad these Americans are getting home, but that's a ransom payment.
Well, a couple of things here. First of all, negotiations are about giving and taking. And there was no universe in which we were going to get these 5 Americans home without some bartering, some compromising with the Iranians. And that bartering is ongoing right now. So again, I don't want to get too far ahead of what it's going to actually look like, the scope of the negotiation and the deal. But on this ransom, this is not a ransom. And it's important to remember that the account from which money could be accessed by the Iranians is an account set up in the previous administration that allowed other countries to import non-sanctionable goods. It's not something that the Biden administration created.
Oh, so guys, just before we get ahead of ourselves, the Biden regime announced this on 9/11, but Orange Man bad, right? The previous administration set this up. Thanks. For a party that is so concerned about optics constantly, you would have thought that somebody, anyone, would have thought about the optics of giving Iran $6 billion on 9/11 and announcing it on 9/11. Now, according to the AP, Antony Blinken signed off on this deal late last week, but Congress was not notified of the deal until Monday. Where are you at, guys? The optics of it is just terrible. I don't think that Joe Biden is going to be running for president. How? How can this man win when this is what he's doing? He's constantly lying, constantly bumbling. He's breaking decades-long traditions, and then he's giving just billions of dollars in ransom payments. The deal appears to go against the U.S. policy of not paying countries to release American prisoners so as not to incentivize bad behavior. According to the report, the transfer of the $6 billion was the critical element in the prisoner release deal. So yeah, I mean, that's a ransom payment. That's what ransom payments look like. Some European nations even reportedly balked at participating in the transfer. But the Biden administration's blanket waiver was aimed at easing their concerns. So even our allies were like, "Hey, probably not a good look. Probably not the most solid thing to do." But the Biden administration went for it anyway. I keep having flashbacks to pallets of cash. The AP noted the waiver is likely to draw criticism of President Joe Biden from Republicans. Gee, you think? And that others that the deal will boost the Iranian economy at a time when Iran poses a growing threat to U.S. troops and Middle East allies. Interesting stuff. How can they honestly expect this man to be reelected? Seriously. And now we got news that the impeachment inquiry looks to be getting the green light. It's crazy, man. This Biden administration is amazingly awful. And every time you think they can't outdo themselves, they do. They certainly do. All right, here's another story that I found interesting. Auks, A-U-K-S, a fourth Joe Biden email alias surfaces. Then Vice President actually had a fourth alias, according to Breitbart. Auks, A-U-K-S, at att.blackberry.net. And that was as early as 2010 to communicate with his family, according to the nonprofit Marco Polo, based on information from Hunter Biden's laptop from hell. So the House Oversight Committee previously noted that only 3 aliases in its August 17th request to the National Archives for documents related to Joe Biden's email pseudonyms, Robert Peters, Robin Ware, and J.R.B. Ware. But Auks is the mascot of the Archmere Academy, a private Roman Catholic college prep school in Delaware, and the alma mater of Joe and Hunter Biden. So that's the fourth. That's the fourth. Auks. Joe Biden's Auks alias email received an email on May 10th, 2011 from his niece, who served as a special assistant for, the U.S.-China Strategic and Economic Dialogue at the Treasury Department. Weird. Must be another coincidence. Just days before she left the Treasury, Owens emailed old Uncle Joe at that new alias that we're finding out about, Auks at blackberry.net, concerning the vice president's remarks a day prior during the opening session of the U.S.-China Strategic and Economic Dialogue. This is what her email said. It said, Uncle Joe just got home from work and couldn't wait to send you an email. Today was truly a memorable day for me. I keep thinking about Mom. Can you imagine her seeing us huddled up backstage together? She would have loved it. It chokes me up. I have so much to learn. Sitting back there with you was very, very humbling. I was just blown away. You will always make time to talk to me, always. But today was really incredible. I still can't believe you took the time to discuss the issues with me. Interesting. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's just a generic family email. But that email does prove that it was Joe's. Joe Biden then forwarded that same email to Hunter, Beau, Valerie Biden, and Owens, Joe Biden's sister. While working at the Treasury, Owens was in contact with Hunter Biden, who was at the time in the process of creating a joint venture investment fund with a Chinese Communist Party-linked entity, BHR Partners. It's just a coincidence. It's just a coincidence, you guys. But we are going to have Andy Ogles on the show at 10:30 today, and we're going to talk about all these coincidences and where these coincidences may lead us via this impeachment inquiry. If you have something that you want to ask Andy Ogles, text it. We got a running list going, 615-737-9986. 615-737-9986. It is 9:20 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy says House Republicans could launch an impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden as soon as this week. We'll tell you about it at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. We're going to have Andy Ogles on to talk about the impeachment inquiry at 9:35. I mean, 10:35. Geez. Already pulling to Biden. Already doing it.
A little bit of a setback there for the flanker back.
Yes, unbelievable. All right, we do have a lot to get to. So Joe Biden has that new email, the new alias email that's been leaked. He's got $6 billion heading to Iran for hostages, and then here's a story that I thought was pretty funny. I don't know, maybe I'm mean. But the headline was, report, Joe Biden plunged into sadness and frustration about potential Hunter indictment. I don't know. It's like as soon as I saw the headline, I just chuckled a little bit.
A smile across Chris's face appears.
It's like one of those slow smiles on a GIF. You know what I mean? Appears slowly. I just was tickled pink by it. Just thinking about the resident in chief being plunged into sadness. Oh, Hunter.
He knows how we feel from his administration now. So,
how could you be plunged into sadness? I mean, you can pardon him, sir.
Yeah.
Like, even if he gets caught up in this, the gun charge is not the worst thing your son has done in his entire career. It's just not. And to be plunged into sadness when you can pardon him just seems like just lies. So a court document filed last week by Weiss revealed that he plans to indict Hunter Biden, and then the intention to indict President's son plunged Joe Biden into sadness. Yep. This is from the New York Times, the failing New York Times. The possibility of a federal indictment of Hunter Biden stunned the president, according to several people close to him. He plunged into sadness and frustration, the sources said of the court filing. Since then, his tone in conversations about Hunter has been tinged with a resignation that was not there before, his confidants say. The saga reflects the painful dynamics of the first family, shaped by the intense ambition and deep loss, along with anger and guilt, the report added. I don't know. I thought it was funny. Do you really have guilt? Is there really any guilt in that family? I would be hard pressed to believe that. Intense ambition, sure. Guilt, no. Miss me with the guilt. But intense ambition, sure. You have to be intensely ambitious to set up a crime family syndicate the way the Bidens have. You have to be intensely ambitious to be lobbying foreign governments for money and positions on boards when you don't have any experience in said fields. I mean, how else does Hunter Biden get a job on the board at Burisma with no prior experience in Ukraine or energy if he wasn't intensely ambitious? The whole family is intensely ambitious, and the whole family really just looks out for themselves. 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Ken Weaver's got the news.
9:30 on the dot this Tuesday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We could see a wave of some showers come through that will usher in this cool down we've been talking about this week. Full forecast in 2 minutes. Facing pressure from his party, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy said to be embracing an effort to open a presidential impeachment inquiry into President Biden and his son Hunter Biden over his son Hunter Biden's business dealings. That could be as soon as this week. Meanwhile, tune in to learn more from 5th District Congressman Andy Ogles at 10:30 here on WTN's Chris Hand Show. Here in Nashville, no charges to be filed in the deadly officer-involved shooting in January of Mark Capps. Channel 4 says the DA said Metro Nashville police officers did what was reasonably necessary. The 4-time Grammy-winning sound engineer was wanted on aggravated assault and kidnapping charges when he was shot at his Hermitage home by a Metro Nashville police SWAT officer in January. Apple expected to announce a new iPhone, new features, and a big change to how new iPhones get charged today. These new phones expected to have a USB-C port as opposed to a Lightning charging port. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey folks, Paul Winkler here. One of the things that we see from time to time, well, way too often, is this. Let's say that you go to a financial advisor and they say, hey, you need to set up an investment portfolio, and what we need to do is we need to have some of your money in stocks or mutual funds or ETFs or something like that, and we need to have something fixed or guaranteed in your investment portfolio that'll protect you against the market downturns. And quite often what they're talking about, they may not use this word, but often what they're talking about is putting your money into some sort of an annuity, like an indexed annuity or something like that, or a fixed annuity. And what they're doing is they're saying, hey, let's put your money in both of these, which sounds really good. And you should. And typically in an investment portfolio, you do want to have fixed investments and stocks as well in the portfolio to protect against inflation. But here's what happens when you manage a portfolio. Let me use a really, really simple example. Let's say I have a portfolio and I got stocks in there. Then I have my fixed income, my bonds in the portfolio as well. And let's say I have half my money in each. When stocks really do well, what we want to do is they're going to be overweighted in my portfolio. I own too much of them because they've done well compared to bonds. It was supposed to be half and half, and now maybe it's 70% stocks and 30% bonds, let's say, or something like that. So I want to sell some of this and buy some of that to bring it back to 50-50 and back and forth throughout time. Well, the problem is when you're managing a portfolio and rebalancing in that way, bringing it back to the original portfolio mix of half and half in my example, I'm going to have to incur a trading cost or a commission or a back-end surrender with the annuity. It doesn't make any sense to use that product in this particular manner. Why do people do it? Well, the reason quite often is this. Commissions are very high with these products. And a lot of firms, they actually require their advisors to recommend a certain amount of annuities for every person that walks in the door. Now, typically annuities are used for a different purpose. They were actually designed for a totally different purpose. And that was distribution toward the end of life. When somebody looks like they're going to run out of money, they're annuitized. Now, let me tell you something. One study showed there was only like 5% of annuities are ever used in that fashion. Most often they're sold as an accumulation vehicle like this, and they were never really designed for that purpose. If you want to learn more, call us for a free 15-minute phone call or go to our website, paulwinkler.com. The number 615-851-1950 or paulwinkler.com. We don't do anything on commission, and we like to rail against these types of things and help investors do what is in their best interest. paulwinkler.com.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. This is the Chris Hand Show. We got a big election coming up for mayor here in Nashville, Tennessee. And I've said it before. I don't think that you should be voting really based on Nashville. I think you should be voting based on the decline of blue-run cities all over our country. I mean, pick a blue city and show me where it's winning, where it's succeeding. Because the majority of them are not. They're just not. New York falling apart, Chicago falling apart. And meanwhile, in San Francisco, California,
legitimately everything that I own was just stolen, and I'm sitting here at the airport, and all I have with me is what I have on, and this hat, and that like tiny purse with actually nothing in it. My computer, my iPad, my AirPods, my Bose over-the-ear headphones, all of my clothes, my prescriptions, my retainer, my passport, legitimately everything I own was taken.
This poor girl is sitting in an airport in San Francisco. She posted this video to TikTok. She's sitting in an airport in San Francisco in her pajamas. And she's in her pajamas because, like she said, everything she owns was stolen. And she showed up in San Francisco only for 2 days.
So I got here to San Francisco 2 days ago. I got a rental car, had a long layover before I'm moving on. I was moving to Bali. I had all my stuff, everything to move there with me. Got a rental car, was driving around, parked. This morning at In-N-Out, I was kind of hungover, went out with my friends last night.
So she went out with her friends the night before, got a little hammered, hungover, wants to go into In-N-Out to grab a burger. I mean, maybe she got caught slipping because she was hungover, right? I mean, I'm probably not. Like, this is your city run by Democrats. So she runs in for a burger. As she's inside the restaurant for a burger, her car is just absolutely ransacked.
Parked to get a burger and fries and went in. I was in there for 4 minutes just getting takeout, like grabbing something and going. I'm up at the counter literally ordering, and someone goes, "Who has the Jeep outside?" I'm like, "I do." And they're like, "Someone's stealing all your stuff." I run out there, and this is what I see. 4 masked guys with ski masks on grabbed all of my stuff out of the car, smashed the windows, obliterated this rental car that I had, and took all of my stuff. And now, because I don't have my passport, I obviously can't leave the country and fly to Bali. And I'm like, what the heck? So now I'm just flying back to Boston.
That's your city. That's what your city looks like when it's run by Democrats. You literally can't run into a In-N-Out or a burger joint to grab a burger without your car being just demolished. And I mean, the pictures of this poor girl's rental car, just all 4 windows completely smashed out. The back window completely smashed out. And like she said, she's in an In-N-Out burger for 4 minutes. That's what Democrat-run cities look like. That's what Nashville could look like if we keep electing terrible Democrat mayors. So I got to tell you got to vote Alice Rowley coming up in this mayoral race because this is a quick hop and a skip from Nashville. San Francisco used to be one of the most beautiful cities in the country. And now it's just chaos. I do want to wrap up that story with this young girl who was robbed while she was just grabbing a burger. She did call the police and file a police report. So they're getting into that, and they're gonna get it handled, I believe.
So I did a police report, the whole thing, and now the police officer said that they found one of my suitcases on the side of the highway with clothes like strewn all about around it. So stay tuned. My clothes are just like flying around on the highway right now.
So, that's what happens when you live in a city where they defund the police and decriminalize illegal activity. And I mean, it's not just California. It's not. At least 27 people were shot, 5 of them fatally, over the weekend in Mayor Brandon Johnson's Chicago. Breitbart News reported that at least 14 were shot Friday into Saturday night, and 4 of those shooting victims succumbed to their wounds. By Monday morning, CBS News actually ticked up the number of victims and said it had risen to at least 27, with 1 additional shooting fatality. The additional fatality was discovered 2:54 a.m. on Sunday. A male of unknown age was shot in an alley and was pronounced dead at the scene. I mean, Chicago, like all of Illinois, has red flag laws, an assault weapons ban, a high-capacity magazine ban, a 72-hour waiting period on gun purchases, and a gun owner licensing requirement via firearms owners' identification cards. So, what else do you do in Chicago? Oh, I know. Declare a public health emergency, right? That'll get the guns off the streets. We can suspend the Constitution with public health emergencies. That's what we learned in New Mexico, right? I will say in the New Mexico case, if you missed it yesterday, I'm sure you're up on it because our audience is smart. The New Mexico governor banned open and concealed carry for 30 days, but nobody's listening to her. So that's nice. She's not in handcuffs yet, which is what I would think would be the appropriate action to somebody that basically wants to rip up the Constitution. You know, put her in handcuffs. But the district attorney, the sheriffs, they're all saying we're not enforcing this. People are showing up to protest, open carrying, guns out. Nothing's happening to them. So, in that sense, we're winning, right? You know, if they make these laws and they're unconstitutional and they're unjust and we just ignore them, they can't do anything. And I think that's a good takeaway from the New Mexico situation. But these blue cities with these blue leaders, garbage, absolute garbage. I mean, in Chicago, in addition to all of their gun control laws, like red flag laws, assault weapons ban, high capacity magazine ban, 72-hour waiting period on gun purchases, gun owner licensing requirements. In addition to all that, Cook County, where Chicago is located, has its own assault weapons ban, as does the Chicago suburb of Naperville. And nevertheless, more than 400 people have been murdered so far in 2023 in Chicago. Like, these are your cities on Democrats. It's like bed bugs. Once you get them, it's so hard to get rid of them. That's your cities on Democrats. And New York isn't safe either. We all know the problems New York is having. And on Saturday, because of this migrant crisis, they've announced that the New York Police Department budget would be cut, with the money being reallocated to solve the migrant crisis. So the migrants are coming in and causing crime, and we got to pay for the migrants and the illegal aliens. I hate that this is what the left does. They're so good at controlling the language that even I'm saying migrant now when I want to say illegal aliens. The illegal aliens come in, they raise all the crime, and then Mayor Eric Adams says, well, we gotta pay for the illegal aliens. Because we're running out of money for their nice hotels that they're ruining and their tent cities that we're funding. So we have to pay for the illegal aliens. So what we're going to do is cut the budget of the police department. And crime is already rampant in these blue cities. This is your city on Democrats. When you're going to the ballot box to vote for mayor of Nashville, it's pretty easy. Do you want O'Connell or do you want Rowley? Do you look at these blue cities and think, hey, that's what I want? I mean, do you look at New York City where you're being overrun with illegal aliens that you have to cut the budget of the police department and the fire department? Is that what you want? Does that make you feel safer? Because that's what they're doing in blue cities. The move comes as New York continues to deal with rampant crime and an unprecedented influx of illegal immigrants, many of whom, including women and children, may soon be forced out of shelters and into tents on the street, government-funded tent cities. Budget Director Jacques Jiha revealed in a memo over the weekend explaining that Mayor Eric Adams, who recently said the migrant crisis could destroy the city, will soon issue a directive to implement an overtime reduction initiative for the city's 4 uniformed agencies, including the NYPD, the New York Fire Department, the Corrections Department, and the Department of Sanitation. So your city is going to be less safe, less clean, and more migrants in New York City. Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Whoa. You guys are really getting to the root of the problem. Jiha also asked the agencies to track overtime spending and their progress in meeting the reduction target, and to submit monthly reports to the city. So on top of that, they got more paperwork to do. Great. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. The head of the Police Benevolent Association, Patrick Henry, slammed the move as out of touch with reality. And the man's absolutely right. This is what he said. He said it's going to be impossible for the NYPD to significantly reduce overtime unless it fixes its staffing crisis. He said we are still thousands of cops short, and we're struggling to drive crime back to pre-2020 levels without adequate personnel. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. And this is Blue City. So New York can't staff their police department. On the other side of the country, in Seattle, they have more homicides this year than new police hires. And that's not just because of budget cuts. That's because of the left's continuous demonizing of police. I mean, they demonize police so much that why would you even want to go into law enforcement anymore? You do the right thing and you'll be treated like a criminal. On Thursday, Seattle recorded its 57th homicide of 2023, tying the record high from 2022 with 4 months still remaining in the year. It's also been revealed that 669 officers have resigned from the Seattle Police Department since 2019. Almost 700 officers left the job, the bulk of which left following the city council vote to defund the department in 2020. And now they've had more people die in the city of Seattle than they've had police hires in the year of 2023. That is horrifying. And that is your city run by Democrats. That's your city on Democrats. Pick a city. Pick a blue city. Let's go line for line. Do you want that in Nashville? Do you? I don't. I personally would like to enjoy the city and do fun things with my family. You can't do fun things with your family in some of these blue cities. You can't even run inside an In-N-Out for 4 minutes in San Francisco without your car being ransacked by masked men. These blue cities need to get in touch with reality. And we can't let that happen to our city here in Nashville. So please vote for Alice Rowley. 951. Chris Hand Show. Super Talk. 99.7 WTN.
An impeachment inquiry could be launched soon. Details at 10 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It is 9:57 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Programming note, Andy Ogles will be on after 10:30 to talk about the impeachment inquiry. If you have something that you want to ask Andy, we have a running list of questions from the Super Text line. We will add your question on there. 615-737-9986. I did get some pushback on my comments on Democrat-run cities. They said, name a Republican-run city. It's like, oh well, there aren't really any. There aren't. That's fair. That's fair. I get where you're at, but I think the that can be used in my favor as well. Okay. So there are no Republican-run cities that are in dire straits. Oh, all right. Thanks. Good to know. I mean, the fact of the matter is these policies are encouraging the crime in the blue cities. The leadership are encouraging the crime in the blue cities. And I've been in these blue cities. I've lived in them. I lived in Detroit, and Detroit was an absolute hellhole. Do you know what they have in Detroit? They call them ghost flowers. Because the city does so little to control the blight and control the empty houses that people are squatting in, that residents will burn them down because the city doesn't want to take them apart. They become unsafe. They become crack houses. Residents will burn the houses down. So when the house is finally burned down and cleared away, the perennials will still show up. They call them ghost flowers.
Oh, wow.
Like,
That's crazy.
I don't think that if you've only lived in Nashville your whole life, or if you've only lived in, I don't know. I guess we have a lot of transplants in this area. So there's a lot of people that have lived a lot of places. But like, go check out Detroit. See what your city looks like on Democrats after 50, 60 years, and tell me if you think that is a good path to continue going down. We see a lot of the crime in a lot of the cities like San Francisco, New York. We look at the current situation as bad, but I mean, a city like Detroit's been dealing with it for a long time. Don't let that happen in Nashville. That's all I'm saying. 9:59 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Ken Weaver's got the latest news right now.
Ten o'clock on the dot this Tuesday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 2 minutes. Tell you about the cool down on the way. Speaker Kevin McCarthy hinting he could launch an impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden as soon as this week, but he may not have the support of his entire caucus, namely moderates who say an impeachment inquiry might jeopardize members in swing districts. Here's Stephen Portnoy with more.
A formal impeachment inquiry, which would be opened by a vote of the full House, would put congressional investigators in a much stronger position when it comes to obtaining information that they say they've been unable to get from the Justice Department about its probe of Hunter Biden. Prosecutors say they're readying to charge the president's son with illegally buying a handgun while he was a drug user. A plea deal that would have had the younger Biden avoiding such a charge fell apart this summer.
Again, tune in to learn more in about half an hour from 5th District Congressman Andy Ogles. He'll be live on WTN's Chris Hand Show after the 10:30 news. News about your money. A new report shows median household income fell in this country for a third consecutive year in 2022. The Census Bureau says it tanked by nearly $4,000 from 2019 to 2022 due to inflation. Median incomes had peaked in 2019 to $78,250, but declined to just over $74,500 by 2022. And the great debate rages on: to work from home or to go back into the office. Jim Ryan says some major companies are stepping up their return to the office policies.
A Bankrate survey of 2,000 adults suggests that 68% prefer a hybrid work schedule, some days in the office, some at home. But Amazon CEO Andy Jassy, for one, says face-to-face interactions with coworkers build the company culture, throwing a hitch into the whole debate, the current uptick in COVID-19 cases.
Consumer news: a snag in the rollout of Apple's new iPhone 15. The New York Post reports the company's website has crashed ahead of the official announcement. And that's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
10:05 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Mac Morey's my producer. Ken Weaver in the newsroom. And you, the fourth man in our crew, on the Super Text line and on the phone lines at 615-737-9986. We do have a bit of an update coming out of New Mexico. The sheriff in Bernalillo County. So let me reset. Yesterday, the big news was the public health emergency that was issued on the 8th of September, which banned open and concealed carry in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and Bernalillo County. And it was signed by New Mexico Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham. She's been heavily criticized for that. She hasn't been arrested yet, but hey, fingers crossed, right? Crazier things have happened. On Monday, though, on CNN's broadcast of The Source, Bernalillo County, New Mexico Sheriff John Allen criticized the governor, and he said her declaration of a health emergency to ban the carrying of firearms in public isn't just. It isn't just at all. He also said that New Mexico law doesn't have strict enough penalties for juveniles with firearms, even though juvenile gun crime is increasing. Allen reiterated his vow to not enforce the order because it's not constitutional, and it would tie up law enforcement in litigation at a time when they have violent crime issues to deal with. He's saying what we all say. Why are you going to punish the people that do things legally when you have a crime problem? Right? Makes sense. It makes sense to everybody except for our friend, New Mexico Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham. She was actually on CNN just last hour, and she was asked about the sheriff's comments, and here's what she said.
We just heard from the sheriff. He joins the attorney general and others who say they won't enforce it. It's unconstitutional. Why do it if it can't be enforced?
Well, that's their opinion. They have no bold actions. They don't have any plans for reducing gun violence.
Oh, yeah. That's their opinion, says the governor. It's their opinion that it's unconstitutional. She says they don't have any plans or actions. We have to attack crime, says New Mexico Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham. So what better way to do that than go after law-abiding citizens, right? I mean, it makes sense. You just got to chew on it for a little bit. You know what I mean? Just got to chew on it. She was also asked, you're an attorney. The CNN anchor said to the governor of New Mexico, you're an attorney. Do you really think that you're on solid constitutional ground right now?
But we also have, Governor, the Constitution of New Mexico and the Constitution of the United States, and you're an attorney. Do you think you're on solid constitutional ground here?
Well, we're going to see. I mean,
whoa, that's a solid answer. Nailed it. Oh, we're going to see. We're going to find out. Okay. All right.
She said,
I don't know.
That may have been the best use of the Mike Pence. I don't know yet. What do you think about this New Mexico governor? 615-737-9986, taking your calls. She literally hit him with a, I don't know.
Standing on constitutional ground?
I don't know.
All right, let me start that clip over. All right, so she was asked, you're an attorney. What are you on constitutional ground? She hit him with a Mike Pence. I don't know. But this is what she said.
But we also have, Governor, the Constitution of New Mexico and the Constitution of the United States, and you're an attorney. Do you think you're on solid constitutional ground here?
Well, we're going to see. I mean, look, I wouldn't do it if I didn't think I had the right. I have the right.
Where is the right? Where is the right?
In the state of New Mexico. Public health, it's a suspension. It's not a ban. And we'll see what all of these court actions do. And
we're going to see what the court actions do. I don't think that this is constitutional at all. She knows it's not constitutional. You can tell when she's asked. She says, "Well, we'll see. We'll see." I mean, at the end of the day, shouldn't she take a hint from the fact that the sheriff, the district attorney, the people in her state are all saying, "How about no? Hard pass. We're not going to follow your order." Is it constitutional? Well, I have the right, she says. I have the right. Rights for thee. Rights for me, not for thee. Thank you. She was then asked by the CNN anchor, what if a Republican state did this?
Are you overreaching? Let me give you a hypothetical, right? You're a Democratic governor who's doing this. What if a Republican governor of a state declares a health emergency and unilaterally outlaws abortion in that state, where the legislature has not done so by statute? Following your logic, would that also be sound?
In this situation, honestly, I don't think so, but that is what's happening in this country.
Oh, yep. All right. No. That would be different. That would be different. A clump of cells and all that, you know? Need I remind you? Clump of cells, as the Democrats say. But I mean, it's so true. Like, this is what happens. Pendulum swing, my friends. Pendulum swing. So if you're going to do it one way, it can happen the other way. We knew when COVID happened and they shut down all these businesses that this was a possibility. That they would issue a public health order for something like gun violence and come after firearms. We knew that was possible. We knew it. I'm going to ask Andy Ogles about this after 10:30. This is a big story. I don't understand why she's doubling down on CNN. I really don't. She should just take her L on this one and apologize.
Seriously, because it's gonna get bigger and bigger.
Why wouldn't you just take the L? Like, hey guys, I overreached. I was upset. I was really emotionally charged because of what happened with the 11-year-old that was murdered in the state, and I reacted emotionally, and I'm sorry. Just take your L. She's not going to take her L.
Well, 8521 correctly reminds us that it's okay because her oath isn't meant to be taken seriously.
No. She said that yesterday. She said her oath, well, she said a lot of things on the show yesterday from her audio, but the oath is not absolute, remember?
You took an oath to the Constitution. Isn't it unconstitutional to say you cannot exercise your carry license?
With one exception, and that is if there's an emergency, and I've declared an emergency for a temporary amount of time, I can invoke additional powers. No constitutional right, in my view, including my oath, is intended to be absolute.
Okay, yeah. All right.
Absolute.
That's the one thing that kills me about her. It's like, why did she enunciate that way? Here's the thing.
Yeah.
It's absolute.
Nothing, including my oath. Absolute.
You can tell by the way I talk that I'm very educated. I mean, I can't believe she's a lawyer and she thinks that this is okay. This woman is bat bleep crazy to think that this is going to fly. And to go on CNN and have the gall to defend yourself and double down. I mean, she's been doubling down on Twitter, X, nonstop. But you go on CNN, go apologize to the people in your state that clearly don't like this law. Clearly. Nobody wants this. But hey, what do I know? I'm not a lawyer, not a constitutional expert by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, I know a lot of law enforcement aren't going to enforce it.
Why would law enforcement want to enforce that law? It literally would put them in the line of danger.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally the come and take it flag. Like, oh, you're going to enforce that? Well, now I'm looking at you, sir. Like, that's a bad idea. That's a bad idea to make law-abiding citizens criminals. Because what are you going to do? I wouldn't give up my guns. How about no? How about hard pass? Move along. Like, that's a line in the sand. That's a hill worth dying on, That's your God-given rights. That doesn't come from a piece of paper. It comes from God. It doesn't come from anybody else. But even the media, even CNN knows that this woman is not on solid footing here. Even CNN doesn't champion her or celebrate her or say that she's doing the right thing. Even CNN says, do you really think you're on constitutional ground? Do you really think you have the rights to do this? And she knows that she doesn't.
But we also have, Governor, the Constitution of New Mexico and the Constitution of the United States, and you're an attorney. Do you think you're on solid constitutional ground here?
Well, we're going to see.
Well, we're going to see. I mean, 9058 said she must have got her law degree at the University of Phoenix.
Oh, that's good.
Our friend Rob texted in, second-time texter Rob, first time in a long time. He said, Rob here, her interview died the moment she said, in my view. Yeah, exactly. Brian said she's a typical lawyer, which is what's destroying the country. They twist the law to fit their agenda. Yep, good comment, Brian.
0324 said, I'm actually surprised that such good questions were asked on CNN, no less.
Hey, I mean, this is when you know that you have jumped the shark. You literally don't have CNN on your side. CNN is not on your side. I mean, it's crazy. 1631 said this is what Lee did with the special session. I don't agree with that. Lee did not issue an executive public health order. It's a little different. Lee said, let's call everybody together to talk. Granted, everybody thought he was going to be pushing these red flag laws and all that, but I don't think those two are one and the same at all. Brian in McMinnville, you have a comment on the new Mexican governor. Brian, you're on Super Talk. What's up, man?
How's it going, Chris?
Good. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Listen, the biggest comment anybody could make is that she is an absolute idiot. I don't understand why people think this way. What needs to happen with the public is more people should go armed. It's going to revert back to the days like the Old West, where basically everybody you see just about has a gun hanging on them or in their possession one way or another.
Hey, an armed society is a polite society.
That's right. I mean, when everybody in the house is armed, the one guy he's going to think twice about going in there and starting trouble.
100%. You're absolutely right. Yeah, no, I completely agree with you, Brian. Thanks for the call. An armed society is a polite society. Everybody on the Super Text line's weighing in. Yes, when CNN isn't on a Dem side, you messed up, says 9058. Todd said, what's their end game if they get our guns? Oh, just generational slavery for everyone. Phil said she committed political suicide. Yep, she did commit political suicide. There's no coming back from that. You literally shredded up the Constitution. The woman quite literally said, no constitutional right is absolute.
No constitutional right, in my view, including my oath, is intended to be absolute.
Oh, okay. In my view, back in my day, the Constitution was just a piece of paper. Frank in Tullahoma, you have a comment on the New Mexico governor. Frank, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Can't the district attorney file charges against her?
I would think that he could. He already said that he's not going to
violate everybody's constitutional rights. You would think that, like, the NAACP and other organizations would file charges against her.
You would think so, but a lot of these organizations don't really care about your rights anymore. They just used to. Hey, thanks for the call, Frank. I appreciate you. The district attorney said he's not going to enforce this or press any charges. I got a good text. 1509. Arizona's wishing they voted for Kerry Lake now. Yeah. Yep.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Oh, Jinx. Wow.
Jinx. You owe me Kim in Murfreesboro, you want to talk about the New Mexico governor. You're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, Kim, what's up? You're on Super Talk.
Hey, my aunt lives in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and the majority of New Mexicans are sheep. They're very liberal, and they follow whatever they put out, the Democratic government puts out. They're sheep. They were on lockdown the longest. People still wear masks up there. So they won't push back against this governor.
Well, I mean, listen, you may be right about an overwhelming majority, but I've seen protests of people open carrying, police officers seeing the open carrying, not pushing, not arresting anybody. The district attorney says that they're not going to enforce this. So yeah, I mean, the people may be sheep, and that definitely could be the case for quite a lot of them. But it's moments like these that wake people up. Thanks for the call, Kim. I really appreciate it. Sometimes you need to wake up, nice and gently. Other times you need to be violently shaken awake. And hopefully this is one of those violent shaken awakes for the people in New Mexico. 8126, can you imagine if Governor Lee said crime is high in Nashville and everyone must carry? Ooh, that would be based. I thought it was going to go another way. Could you imagine if Governor Lee tried to ban open and concealed carry in Nashville? Could you imagine something like that? I couldn't. People would lose their mind. 1021 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand for my friends at United Structural Systems. Like you, before I started working here, I heard their commercials on the air for years. But I had a chance to meet the crew, sit down with them, and as soon as I meet somebody, I kind of get a good judge of their character. And the guys at USS, man, good people, honest, hardworking, and one of the things that they're most proud of is the work that they do. And when I realized I needed help in my crawl space, my first thought was like, oh no, I don't know what to do. Like, what do I do down here? And then my second thought was, oh, no, I know exactly what to do. I'm going to call my guys at United Structural Systems. Luckily, I didn't have any standing water in my crawl space. I didn't have the wet basement walls or the cracks in my basement floors like you'll see in some homes. But I do need a full encapsulation, and they came up with a custom plan for my house. And I'm going to be getting on the phone with them today to set up some scheduling for it. And if you're noticing water in your crawl space or wet basement walls, cracks in your basement floors, they'll make a custom plan for your house too. Your house is trying to tell you something if you see those things, so give USS a call to check it out. 615-488-7855. With 25,000 satisfied customers, I am confident you will be 25,001. Call USS today, 615-488-7855, or online at USSTN.com.
Got road work in the way. It is 65 southbound in Goodlettsville, right before Long Hollow Pike. The right lane is blocked. Speaker Kevin McCarthy expected to endorse an impeachment inquiry into President Biden as soon as today. And so much for Aaron Rodgers' career as a New York Jet. These stories and more at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Oh, no. I like Aaron Rodgers.
So did the Jets.
I don't like the New York Jets, but I like Aaron Rodgers. And it's something I thought that was pretty based last night, which was like, dude, we're finally getting back to the football that I had when I was a kid. When he ran out on the field with the American flag.
Oh, it was awesome, man.
Yep.
That was cool. That was cool.
Super cool.
I mean, like, that's what we need. Like, something to unify people. I don't want to spoil your newscast, but I am disappointed.
Yeah.
And Aaron Rodgers also didn't take the jab. He was like, nah, man, I'm not doing it. And that's base too. Stand on your principles. I like it. I might have to get an Aaron Rodgers jersey.
It'll be cheaper now.
Well, I'll get it. I'll get a Packers one.
Oh, okay, fair enough. You won't get the that's fair.
I'm not gonna get a Jets jersey.
Grow your hair long, man.
I'm not gonna go like I can't do that. I can't do that. I've said to my wife before. Should I grow my hair long and just go full Jesus? She's like, please don't go full Jesus.
Oh, come on.
I know.
Do it.
It was actually when Mac had his hair long.
Oh, we could have been Jesus's together.
I looked at Mac. I was like, ooh. I was like thinking about it. I
could be the old prophet walking with you guys.
Yes.
All right. We're quickly creeping into the blasphemy territory.
That's true.
So I did want to bring up this one story real quick. The St. Louis Children's Hospital is no longer performing sex changes on minors, guys. This is a big deal. Like, I think we need to highlight our wins more, and we are winning across the board. Remember when, just want to put this out there, their propaganda would be absolutely unnecessary if we weren't winning at the levels we're winning at. St. Louis Hospital, Children's Hospital, will no longer perform sex changes on minors. In a letter to the staff obtained by the Post Millennial, the Executive Vice Chancellor for Medical Affairs of Medicine told the staff of the center following a review, we have now reached a point where we can no longer continue to operate the center in the same way. Thank goodness. Like, let's put the kids first. This is a big win. All of these little wins, it's drip, 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 waterfall. Okay. So like, don't let any win be too minor to celebrate. That's a big win. The House GOP is also going to be forcing a vote on a bill reversing California's electric vehicle mandate. That could be a big win, too. 17 other states have laws that link their vehicle emission standards to California's. So sometimes as California goes, so does the country. So the House GOP is going to force a vote on the bill to reverse that mandate. And I hope that they do. Andy Ogles is going to be joining us here in a minute. And there's a lot that I'm going to ask him about. I'll ask him about this California mandate that they're going to be forcing a vote on to reverse. Anything that you want to ask Andy Ogles, I will absolutely let you live vicariously through me. If you have a good question for Ogles, I will ask him. So shoot me a text, 615-737-9986. Mac has a whole doc going, and we will get to your question ASAP, as long as there's time and it's not about lizard people. I promise. 10:29 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Ken Weaver's got the news.
.30 on the dot this Tuesday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We'll tell you about this cool down we've been talking about coming up in the full forecast in 2 minutes. Right now, we've got a big delay if you are on 65 southbound through Goodlettsville. Road work has a 63-minute delay southbound 65 at Long Hollow Pike. The right lane is blocked due to that road work. Speaker Kevin McCarthy has officially endorsed opening an impeachment inquiry into President Biden over his son Hunter's business dealings. And, of course, we're going to learn more in just about a minute. A couple of minutes, I should say, from 5th District Congressman Andy Ogles. He's going to join the WTN Chris Hand Show right after this newscast. He'll talk live about that. News about your money. A new report shows median household income fell for a third consecutive year in 2022. It went from $4,000 lower, that is, from 2019. And turning to sports, so much for Aaron Rodgers' career as a New York Jet. The New York Post confirms that an MRI has a torn left Achilles tendon, that shows a torn left Achilles tendon that will require Rodgers to undergo season-ending surgery. Rodgers was injured on his fourth play against the Bills last night. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey folks, Paul Winkler here. One of the things that we see from time to time, well, way too often, is this. Let's say that you go to a financial advisor and they say, hey, you need to set up an investment portfolio, and what we need to do is we need to have some of your money in stocks or mutual funds or ETFs or something like that, and we need to have something fixed or guaranteed in your investment portfolio that'll protect you against the market downturns. And quite often what they're talking about, they may not use this word, but often what they're talking about is putting your money into some sort of an annuity, like an indexed annuity or something like that, or a fixed annuity. And what they're doing is they're saying, hey, let's put your money in both of these, which sounds really good. And you should. And typically in an investment portfolio, you do want to have fixed investments and stocks as well in the portfolio to protect against inflation. But here's what happens when you manage a portfolio. Let me use a really, really simple example. Let's say I have a portfolio and I got stocks in there. Then I have my fixed income, my bonds in the portfolio as well. And let's say I have half my money in each. When stocks really do well, what we want to do is they're going to be overweighted in my portfolio. I own too much of them because they've done well compared to bonds. It was supposed to be half and half, and now maybe it's 70% stocks and 30% bonds, let's say, or something like that. So I want to sell some of this and buy some of that to bring it back to 50-50 and back and forth throughout time. Well, the problem is when you're managing a portfolio and rebalancing in that way, bringing it back to the original portfolio mix of half and half in my example, I'm going to have to incur a trading cost or a commission or a back-end surrender with the annuity. It doesn't make any sense to use that product in this particular manner. Why do people do it? Well, the reason quite often is this. Commissions are very high with these products. And a lot of firms, they actually require their advisors to recommend a certain amount of annuities for every person that walks in the door. Now, typically annuities are used for a different purpose. They were actually designed for a totally different purpose. And that was distribution toward the end of life. When somebody looks like they're going to run out of money, they're annuitized. Now, let me tell you something. One study showed there was only like 5% of annuities are ever used in that fashion. Most often they're sold as an accumulation vehicle like this, and they were never really designed for that purpose. If you want to learn more, call us for a free 15-minute phone call or go to our website, paulwinkler.com. The number 615-851-1950 or paulwinkler.com. We don't do anything on commission, and we like to rail against these types of things and help investors do what is in their best interest. paulwinkler.com.
10:35 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Joined now on the hotline by our friend Andy Ogles, U.S. Congressman. What's up, Andy? How are you?
I'm doing well, and you?
Good. So last night, when I reached out to see if you could come on the show today, my plan was to be like, where are we at on this impeachment inquiry? And then I wake up this morning to news that it looks like we're going to be getting the green light.
Yeah, from the very beginning of the August recess, I made it clear to leadership, I said it on national and local media, that when we returned, if there wasn't a plan to impeach Joe Biden, that I would use a procedural maneuver and I would force a vote. It's called a privilege motion. And just moments ago, you saw that Kevin McCarthy announced that we were going to move forward on impeachment. But, I would say this is past due. It's go time. We know this guy's guilty. Let's lay out the evidence so that we can take a vote. So I'm anxious. I thank the speaker for hearing me and others who were, I was one of the loudest voices on impeachment. But yeah, I mean, here we go. Let's do this thing.
So what seemed to change McCarthy's mind? It felt like he was slow walking this for quite a while. And then the pressure had been ramped up over the last week by guys like you, guys like Gates. Who pressured McCarthy to kind of like get his ass into gear?
Well, I think it was probably a chorus of voices, mine being one of them. So the privileged motion, that's a procedural thing. And once I lay that on the desk, it forces a vote. McCarthy and his team, they had a plan on how they wanted this to unfold. What we were forcing, because originally they were talking about January.
I know.
And I said, no, that's not going to work. We need this now. And look, I spent a lot of time in August traveling the district, speaking with constituents. And everybody says the same thing. I literally called. I had my car worked on, or actually my daughter's car worked on, and I called the shop to see if it was ready. And literally the lady was like, "Hey, so when are we going to impeach Joe Biden?" And so, I mean, it's the feedback that we're getting, and it's just not in Tennessee or the 5th District. It's across the country. And so, look, I heard my constituents. I came up here to fight, and again, I made it clear to McCarthy and everybody else that if we didn't move forward on this, that I would use the procedural maneuver and I would force a vote on Joe Biden.
So now that we're going to be launching the inquiry, is this going to force the DOJ to release more info? And if so, what kind of info are you guys expecting?
Well, so it gives them more subpoena authority because now you have an official inquiry that can move forward. And so the stakes are higher if they ignore Congress. And so I think there's some more detailed information that the committees, because there's 3 investigations underway currently, and there's been some stonewalling by some of the agencies. So hopefully this will break that logjam, and then you'll see laid before the House of Representatives and the American people the corruption that is the Biden family, criminal enterprise, quite frankly.
So with this happening, so say the impeachment inquiry goes well, how do you see impeachment happening? What specific charges do you think would be levied for impeachment?
Yeah, so I don't want to put the cart before the horse. A lot of it will decide on the chairman and which stream of evidence that he wants to pursue. Is it some of the monies that went to family? Is it the monies that went to Hunter Biden? Is it some sort of testimony under oath or to Congress that was not true? There's a lot to choose from here. And so the question is what does the chairman, Jordan and or Comer, decide how they want to move forward? But I'll say, I'll give caution that what you could see, and I hope this is not the case, a whole lot of theater to in the impeachment proceedings to distract from the fact that we have some very serious budget conversations that must be had, that must be laid bare before the American people. We've got to cut back on spending. And so if anyone thinks, leadership or otherwise, thinks that this is somehow going to distract from that conversation, then I'll be just as loud and just an advocate for more responsible spending, because, this ballooning debt that we have, it's a path that's unsustainable. It's going to destroy our nation, not to mention the southern border being wide open. And I was just down there. So yes, methodically, yes, dot all the I's, cross all the T's. But if this is going to drag out forever, man, it becomes a distraction from the bigger conversation, which is we have a budget and we have a White House that's out of control.
So before getting into the budget, I do have a question. What do you have to say when Republicans are standing against you, like Ken Buck, a Republican out of Colorado, who is saying that there's no evidence, the evidence doesn't exist right now to launch the impeachment inquiry into Joe Biden?
Well, I would say open your eyes, take a look at the evidence. I took it upon myself to reach out to Comer to look at the evidence that had been presented. So I've seen enough to know that this administration, Joe Biden, quite frankly, needs to be held accountable. Now, if Ken hasn't done that, that's on him. But I would predict that those naysayers will come alongside and vote for impeachment.
So, but do you think that they're going to do that because they believe in it, or do you think they're going to do that so that way they get reelected?
Well, I'm not in their head, but what I will say is if their districts are even remotely having the same conversations with them that mine is having with me, this is a no-brainer. I mean, the American people, like I said, I literally called the auto repair shop and was like, hey, is my daughter's car ready? And she was like, is this Andy? And I said, well, yes, it is. She goes, what? The immediate next thing she said was, when are we going to impeach Joe Biden, right? So this is a working class, hardworking woman at an auto repair shop. And what's front of mind for her? This president is guilty. We have a two-tier justice system, and it's time that Congress do its job and hold these people accountable. And so that's what. And look, you see it on full display. Whether you like Trump or don't like Trump. Full disclosure, I endorse Trump. But that being said, he is being targeted, persecuted, not because he's guilty of anything, but because they don't want to face him in the November election because we're going to win the White House. And so this idea that Biden can get off scot-free or that Hunter can get off scot-free is we have to take them to task. We have to show the American people that we're going to fight for justice and, quite frankly, restore integrity to the justice system in this country.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, that's what we need. In full disclosure, I framed Trump's mugshot and brought it into the studio to hang up. But, with Joe Biden, do you think he's going to make it to 2024?
I've been saying for quite some time, I'm not convinced that he will be the nominee. The question is who is that? When you look at the timetable, I think it's roughly mid-October. Don't hold me to that. But to qualify for the Nevada caucus is in October. So right around the corner. And obviously the Democratic convention, they have their own rules, and there may be a technicality how they can get around that. I don't know. But it wouldn't surprise me at all if Michelle Obama ultimately is who they put up as their nominee.
Really? So that would be your prediction, that it would be Michelle Obama if it wasn't Joe Biden?
Well, when you have Newsom saying that he's not going to run, they can't afford to let Kamala Harris run. Her numbers are worse than Biden's. The next obvious choice would be either Whitmer of Michigan or Michelle Obama. And who can immediately assemble kind of a grassroots army and a national fundraising operation, Michelle or, Whitmer or Obama, and it would be the Obamas. And so don't be surprised if at the last minute they do a switcheroo. I mean, literally, you have the President of the United States that walks out mid-press conference. During the Medal of Honor ceremony, he walks off the stage. He gets lost in the Rose Garden. I mean, if they put him up again, it's elder abuse.
Well, I mean, he's crashing bikes and crashing economies, and that's a couple things he's good at. Have you seen? Did you hear on September 11th in Alaska that he said that he was at Ground Zero the day after 9/11?
I will give him a pass on that. Obviously, he has a very busy schedule. But that being said, you would think he would remember that kind of detail. But look, there's other gaffes that are much more significant, and I don't want to make light of that gaffe. But at the same token, I mean, Biden has proven that he'll say anything depending on who he's in front of. And then later they'll kind of backpedal off of that statement. I don't know if he was there or not. Some are saying that he wasn't. At the end of the day, let's look at some of the substance of his policies. And this guy's a train wreck, not to mention the grift that's taking place with his son. I mean, you're talking about tens of millions of dollars. And so I don't want to let that misstatement take away from the fact that this administration has sold our country out.
Well, he loves his son. Is the smartest guy he knows, and maybe he is. Maybe Hunter is the smartest guy that Joe Biden knows. I mean, when you think about all the crimes that have been committed, I don't know if you or I could hide that kind of money in that many shell companies. So I mean, there could be a chance that Hunter is the smartest guy he knows. With the gun charge, do you feel like the DOJ is just throwing us a bone, that saying that they would indict him on the gun charge?
Yeah, I mean, I think there was some backlash from that initial attempted plea deal, and again, it was a step too far, and even the Justice Department realized, oh wait, we can't let him get away with that. But again, this is the two-tier justice system. It's kind of like you said, if you and I, started a shell company and we took a fraction, a tiny fraction of the money that the Biden family has taken from overseas corporations and individuals, the FBI would be jerking us out of our beds at 4 a.m. And so we've got to restore trust, and this has larger implications, whether it's the persecution of individuals based off of their beliefs. Like, you and I have a right to disagree. Then afterwards we can go have a friendly coffee or a cocktail, right? But when suddenly political differences are being settled by persecutions and jail time, again, I think we talked about it before. When you look through history, when that became the how differences were settled, that one regime persecuted and jailed the other regime, that was the fall of Rome. That was the fall of the British Empire. I mean, this is a pivotal point in history where we have to have a justice system that's fair, that it's blind regardless of your political persuasion or whatever. And so these are precedents that we have to fix, and we have to be very dogmatic in making sure that we restore justice in this country. And again, whether you like Trump or not, the fact that district attorneys are weaponizing their offices and putting together these weak and entangled RICO cases that make no sense for their own personal political gain, but also to push this woke narrative of go get Trump, right? And so it bothers me to no end. Our founding fathers would be appalled at what's going on in this country right now.
No, you're absolutely right. And, to your point, it's like everything that they said and fearmonger that Trump would do, persecuting political opponents, starting World War III, Joe Biden is doing it now. Why do you think that we don't see Republican DAs and prosecutors going after the Bidens and Democrats the same way the left is going after Trump?
Well, I mean, and I hate to disparage anyone, but it's because we respect the rule of law. So, when Pelosi decided to impeach Trump, they just did it. We're going through the process as Republicans. We're going to have an inquiry. We're going to, lay the evidence before the House of Representatives and before the American people that there's an open process. Now, look, I would say, again, it's like I said before, it needs to be speedy. We need to get it over with. We need to dot the I's and cross the T's, and we need to move forward. And we need to set this aside because we have budget issues, and I don't want this Biden impeachment, which I fully support. I've been dogmatic and vocal about it, but it's go time. Let's get her done, because if we don't get our budget under control, it doesn't matter who's impeached or not impeached. It doesn't matter who the next president is, because we're going to be bankrupt and destroyed as a country. I mean, again, I liken the economy to our country to the Titanic. We're on a course. There's a collision ahead, and we have enough time to correct course if we choose to do so. But if we don't correct course, that collision is going to be catastrophic.
So
go ahead.
As far as the budget goes, the Republicans control the purse, right? Why are we?
Well, we're supposed to.
why do we keep giving all of our treasure to Ukraine? Why do we keep sending billions over there? Why are we It just seems like all of our money is going out of the country right now. The deficit is in the trillions. It just seems like we need to put our oxygen mask on first. Why does it seem like the government can't wrap its head around that?
Well, I've been an outspoken critic of funding the war in Ukraine. And look, on the conflict itself, I can make an argument in both directions, right? But it's like you said, we've got to take care of our own house first. And so I was just at the southern border, and you've got miles and miles of fence. I was just south of Tucson. About every quarter mile, give or take, the American government, our government, has cut out sections of the fence, and it's wide open. And so before we spend another dollar in Ukraine, I think we should fix and secure our southern border. Before we spend another dollar in Ukraine, let's take care of the veterans that are facing mental health and crises in this country, right? The number of homeless that are veterans. Let's address those issues, right? So let's take care of our own first. So it's America first. It's not America alone, but it's America first. And this war in Ukraine, should be a secondary issue for us. But that's why, again, I've been very vocal about it. Marjorie Taylor Greene, whether you like her or not, has been very vocal about it. And I'll continue to be vocal about it. And, and it's like I've said before, when you're going to go into a conflict like this, what's our strategic outcome? Like, what are we getting out of this, quite frankly? 2, what might peace look like? And 3, what is an exit strategy? And what are those, when do you start pulling those levers so you exit? Those are 3 questions that have to be answered before you spend $1 in a conflict. And right now, those 3 questions haven't been answered. I mean, this is ridiculous that we don't have the answers to those 3 questions, and we spent $100 billion in Ukraine.
Well, and
there's no accountability here.
And at a certain point, we're going to have our boots on the ground. And then if our boots are on the ground and it becomes us versus Russia, I played a clip the other day. Tucker Carlson isn't sure we could win a conflict with Russia. Do you feel like our military is prepared for a hot war with Russia?
Well, I'll be honest with you. When you look at the existential threats to the United States of America, it's not Russia, it is China. If it weren't for the fact that Russia is nuclear, they really wouldn't be part of the global conversation. Their economy does not rival ours. The resources that they have, we are not necessarily dependent on. And so it's the fact that they're nuclear that makes them a player on the world stage. And look, you've got the Ukrainian army, which are, it's kind of like our own revolution. It's a ragtag bunch of individuals who are committed to God and country, and they've repelled the Russians. And so when you look at our military, our dominance in the air, yes, we could, if we had to, we could prevail, but that would be a mistake, right? Again, what does peace look like? What might it look like? What's an exit strategy where everybody walks away? And those conversations aren't being had. And quite frankly, you have some members of the Senate who are hell-bent on regime change, which is the fact that we're even having that conversation is a dangerous conversation to have as the United States of America as it pertains to the Russian President Putin.
No. Excuse me. I got a frog in my throat. Completely agree with you. Thank you for the call today, Andy Ogles. Good luck in the impeachment inquiry. Do you know when we may start seeing news breaking about this and when we may start seeing some dominoes falling from the impeachment inquiry?
Yeah, we'll be getting a brief later today, if not in the morning. And as soon as I know or have more information, I'll make sure that you guys know.
Perfect. Well, hey, we look forward to having you on the show again. Thank you for taking some time to call and check in with us, and good luck in D.C.
Absolutely. God bless.
All right, Andy. Appreciate it. All right, Andy Ogles. A lot to unpack there. That man is always on time. You know how punctual Andy Ogles is?
Seriously, so impressive.
We say 10:30, and he's there at 10:28.
Boom.
And I said 10:30 because I knew it would be 10:35. So I feel like I should start just giving him the real time.
And that's right when McCarthy was making the announcement.
Unbelievable.
That's timing, baby, timing.
All right, we're gonna grab some audio from the McCarthy announcement, and we'll unpack some of that Andy Ogles interview on the way next. It's 10:53 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm hearing.
Eleven o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got some things getting in the way, drivers. Right now, South Nashville, 40 westbound at Hermitage Avenue. You got a stalled vehicle that's blocking the right lane. Then road work is blocking 65 southbound in Goodlettsville. That is an 80-minute delay right there before Long Hollow Pike. Full forecast in 2 minutes, and we're moving closer to another impeachment of a sitting U.S. president.
I am directing our House committee to open a formal impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden.
That is Speaker Kevin McCarthy claiming House Republicans have uncovered what he calls a culture of corruption within the administration and the business dealings within the Biden family.
These are allegations of abuse of power, obstruction, and corruption, and they warrant further investigation by the House of Representatives.
A formal impeachment inquiry, which would be opened by a vote of the full House, would put congressional investigators in a much stronger position when it comes to getting information that they've said they've been unable to get from the Justice Department about its probe of Hunter Biden. News about your money. A new report shows just how big a chunk inflation's taking out of your household spending power. The Census Bureau says median household income in this country fell by nearly $4,000 from 2019 to 2022 due to inflation. And 3 years after COVID-19 emptied out office buildings and the government helped, sent workers home. The debate over whether to return to the office is far from settled. Jim Ryan says employers are increasingly demanding, not asking, but demanding employees get back to their cubicles.
Google, for example, has made workers' willingness to return to the office a component of their performance reviews. Work from home, but kiss that promotion goodbye. A resume builder survey of 1,000 business leaders finds that 90% of them plan to implement return-to-office policies by the end of 2024. 1 in 3 say they will fire workers who refuse.
Turning to sports, so much for Aaron Rodgers' career as a New York Jet. The New York Post reports an MRI confirms Rodgers has a torn left Achilles tendon that will require season-ending surgery. Rodgers was injured on his 4th play against the Bills last night. The Jets did go on to win. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, it's Chris Hand for Paul Winkler, Inc. I got 4 kids, and me and my wonderful wife now have a financial plan for their future because we linked up with Paul and his team. I was a listener of Paul's radio show since I moved to Nashville, but it was after I got to meet with him and realize he's the same guy that I heard on the air, smart, honest, legit. I was all in. And Paul and his team hold themselves to a higher level of fiduciary standard than is required. And because of that, government regulators do what government regulators do. They require me to tell you that I'm paid every time this commercial airs. And I am. That's not a lie. But also not a lie, I'm a client of Paul's. And why am I a client of Paul's? Because when I got to sit down with him, break bread, have my financial questions answered honestly, I was impressed. I mean, Paul's a smart guy. He knows the financial world better than I do. And with Paul and his team, I say this all the time, nothing is done on commission. And that is huge because I know they're helping me make the right decisions for my family, not helping me make the right decisions for their family. So nothing done on commission is a huge check mark in my box. And they're all education-based. And their investment education is evidence-based and backed by Nobel Prize-winning research. Do what I did. Check these guys out. Every office is run by a degreed planner with over 20 years of experience. You can just feel the difference between Paul's team and the rest. So set up a complimentary 15-minute phone call right now on his website, paulwinkler.com. Get your financial plans in order, paulwinkler.com, or call 615-851-1950. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's going on? It's Chris Hand. First, I just want to say thank you to you, the 4th guy in our crew, the Super Texters, for some great questions for Andy Ogles. I tried to hit every single question that we got in. And we got in like, I don't know, it was like 50, 60 questions. A lot of them were pretty similar, so I might not have worded it the exact same way, but we tried to hit every single one that we could get to with Andy. Thank you again, Andy, for coming on. I was really shocked that he said he thinks Michelle Obama would be the one to run.
It's kind of a bombshell.
In 24. He made some good points. Who else can get that kind of grassroots support last minute?
Yeah.
You know, we're running out of time. for them to declare, right? It's like a month or so. Gavin Newsom said he's not going to do it, which I think Gavin Newsom is learning from the mistakes of Ron DeSantis.
Good point.
Just wait, bro.
Good point.
You're young enough. What's 4 years?
Nothing.
Just wait. Ron DeSantis didn't take that advice. Ron DeSantis, he's still in the. Is he still in the race?
He's still a presidential candidate. Yes.
Really?
Really? He's choosing that. Wow.
Weird. I don't know why. I don't know why. But yeah, okay.
I think the question with Michelle really has never been about could she gain the support, but it's like, does she want to do it? I guess. Is she going to do it?
Is she going to do it? And does she jump in now with all of these new, or not new, but these old Obama allegations resurfacing again? I mentioned that when we played that some of the clips from that Tucker interview with Larry Sinclair, that those comments resurfacing could be them getting ahead of the fact that Michelle could run. It just felt a little weird. And then while we were on with Andy, news came down from Kevin McCarthy, and it's officially official. We have a formal inquiry into impeachment. So the official announcement of the official inquiry.
That's why today I am directing our House committee to open a formal impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden. This logical next step will give our committees the full power to gather all the facts and answers for the American public. That's exactly what we want to know, the answers. I believe the president would want to answer these questions and allegations as well.
I don't know if Joe Biden's going to want to answer any of those questions and allegations. I like everything else he said. Is it just me, or has Kevin McCarthy been talking in this weird cadence lately?
I was just about to say that.
Like, what happened?
He didn't used to talk like that.
He did. Is this a clone?
We being punked? Is that AI?
Is that Ashton Kutcher under that skin mask? No, but like he really has.
That's weird.
His entire tone has changed. I am now the Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, and I want to find the answers. It just seems like his whole cadence has changed. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I feel like he doesn't talk the same anymore. But we have the official impeachment inquiry announced, and not a moment too soon. Not a moment too soon. Because the Biden family corruption is unreal. It's so deep, and the evidence is there, despite what Republicans like Ken Buck say. They say evidence doesn't exist. Oh, thanks, Ken. Hey, is it Daniel or Danielle? Daniel in Tullahoma, you got a comment on Michelle O possibly running for president, which is what Andy Ogles thought. You're on Super Talk. What's up, Daniel?
This whole thing of Michelle Obama probably entering the race, this brings up an interesting point. She runs, now everybody gets to go after the policies and everything that Obama did himself. So she opens herself up to have the biggest liability, the biggest headache that she's going to face.
Hey, that's a great point, because not only could they bring up the failed policy of Obama, but if Trump is the nominee, which it looks like he's destined to be, then you can bring up wiretapping Trump Tower. You can bring up the FISA stuff. You can bring up so much more. You're absolutely right. Thanks for the comment, Daniel. I appreciate it. That's a good point. Thanks for the call. Joe in Spring Hill, you have a comment on impeachment. Joe, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Joe?
Hey, just wanted to say real quick, I love the show.
Oh, thank you.
As far as impeachment goes, I think it's an utter waste of time. I think we can all agree that Biden will never make it to the 2024 election. If we were going to do some impeachment work, I think we should be going after Mayorkas and Merrick Garland. Those are the true evil within that are part of this huge swamp establishment. With Biden, it's only going to the only thing that'll be amusing is how they place him to the side and bring in, whoever, Gavin Newsom or whoever they have on the bench. I just wanted to let you know that real quick. Thanks so much for taking the call. Love the show. Have a great day.
Thanks, Joe. I appreciate it. And I think you're absolutely right. One of the things that Kevin McCarthy said was that he would impeach Mayorkas on day one. We're still waiting on that. Maybe that was the old Kevin McCarthy before he was replaced by this clone with this new way of talking. So maybe, I don't know, maybe it got lost in the notes. Lindsay in Pleasant Shade, you have a comment. You think Hillary Clinton might be running? Lindsay, you're on Super Talk. What's up?
Yes, sir. I think that they're holding her in the wings.
You think so? You think it's her turn?
I do. I think they're going to bring her back.
And what
And
makes
also,
you think that?
Because Michelle's too much out there. Nobody else is capable. They need a woman. And those Clintons are nasty. They're still in there with the Obamas. And everyone who's running the show, they're deep in there.
No, hey,
I
it's.
think they could pull it off.
You think that they could pull it off? I wouldn't. It wouldn't shock me if they tried. It wouldn't shock me if they tried. And I mean, Hillary Clinton has been making the media rounds. She was on Rachel Maddow a couple weeks ago, and it wouldn't shock me if she still thinks it's her turn.
I think they're going to sneak her in.
You think they're going to sneak her in?
Also, that Kevin McCarthy guy with all the pauses in his voice a minute ago, I decided he's an AI.
Oh, yeah. He sounds like AI. He does. He absolutely does. Thanks for the call, Lindsay. I appreciate it. All right. Breaking news. Kevin McCarthy is now a robot. I mean, did you have the breaking news sounder?
Yeah, let me.
This is a breaking news update on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Breaking news. Lindsay in Pleasant Shade says Kevin McCarthy has been replaced by AI. Very well could be. If you heard his announcement a minute ago on the impeachment inquiry, he just talks weird all of a sudden.
That's why today I am directing our House committee to open a formal impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden.
It's just House committee.
Yeah, that's the word that got me. It's like so sing-songy. It's weird, right?
Never done that. Maybe he's just really happy.
I don't know. He doesn't seem happy. He doesn't seem overly joyful.
This logical next step will give our committees the full power
No smile.
to gather all the facts and answers for the American public.
For the American public. It's just weird. I don't know. Not newsworthy. Just something I'm. One of the things I'm keeping an eye on. Why are you talking weird? That would be. If I ever got Kevin McCarthy on the show, I'd be like, "Sir, first things first. It seems like in the past few recent months you've been talking a little weird, and we want to get to the bottom of it." But you know, this is crazy. This is. Here we go. Here we go. Is anything going to come of this? I don't know. Oh, our friend Tim Jones texted in. He says, Kevin McCarthy does sound softer and more feminine. He does. He sounds a little bit more delicate than usual.
Yeah.
That's all he got? That's all you got?
I was going to say something. I decided against it.
All right, good call. 1102 said Kevin McCarthy talks like Justin Trudeau. Which is he's the mayor of Canada, in case you weren't aware. He's talking weirdly because he really doesn't want anything to happen, says 6887. Needs to keep the status quo for crooks on both sides. Yep, could be. I mean, it just sounds a little off. Bob says, whatever the reason, I think he's just reading from a teleprompter and being very careful in using his words. That could be. Jeremy texted. He said, McCarthy's from California. That's just what they do. Oh, McCarthy's from California. That's just what they do. Good call. Sometimes I feel like he's a little bit too California for the Republican Party, for my liking. Lucas in McMinnville, you got a comment on the resident-in-chief, Joe Biden. Lucas, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up?
Hey, I just feel like with this whole the Biden impeachment stuff, I feel like it needs to be done, but it's one of those things. I feel like it's you cut one head off and two more grows kind of situation.
Yeah, no, that very well could be. You know, I don't think Biden is the brains behind the operation right now.
Absolutely not. Puppet. He's a puppet.
Yes, absolutely. And who is pulling the strings? You know, it could be anybody. Thanks for the call. I mean, what was it? Obama said, if I had a third term, I could just be in the background and tell people what to do. And yeah, maybe Obama's still pulling the strings. That's what Newt Gingrich thinks at least. You know, I'm excited. I'm excited about an impeachment inquiry. Chris Christie, large and in charge, Chris Christie, he doesn't think that he doesn't see evidence against Joe Biden, is what he says, and he thinks that they're cheapening the impeachment process. This is what Chris Christie said.
Those cities and their citizens understand what those reckless policies have led to.
He's talking to MSNBC, and he's saying, I just don't see the evidence to impeach Joe Biden. And he says that it will cheapen the impeachment process. Christie said, look, what I've said is there's a lot of smoke around the Hunter Biden and Joe Biden business relationships. We need to have an investigation of it. But I don't see any evidence yet that would support impeaching Joe Biden. This guy thinks that he can be the president, mind you, Chris Christie. I think we're cheapening impeachment by doing that kind of thing. Oh, weird. You know, did the Democrats impeach or cheapen impeachment? Maybe. Christie went on to say, I criticized Democrats for doing that over the Ukraine issue a number of years ago on impeachment, and I don't want my party to fall victim to the same thing. But I do think it's important for it to be investigated because there are too many questions out there now. Interesting. No evidence. No evidence. That is an interesting take. It's quite the take from Chris Christie. No evidence. I mean, do you think there's no evidence to impeach Joe Biden? No evidence at all? None? No, there's no evidence. There's no evidence. I mean, the Biden family suspicious activity reports, the wire transfers, the texts, the emails, the WhatsApp messages, the photos of Joe with Hunter's business partners, Joe Biden's voicemail to Hunter, 5 individuals referencing Joe Biden as the big guy, 2 whistleblower testimonies, the FBI 1023 form, the FBI informant alleging bribes, video of Joe Biden bragging about firing the Ukrainian prosecutor, Hunter's statements about giving half of his income to his dad, a former White House aide saying the FBI ignored Joe Biden's role in Ukraine business dealings. Millions flowing into Biden family bank accounts. Hunter paying for Joe Biden's expenses. The email aliases, which we're getting more email aliases also. But no, he's probably right. There's probably no evidence. That's probably a solid take, Chris Christie. Oh my gosh. Orange man bad, says Chris Christie. More after this. All right, it's 11:20 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, Ronnie, I see you on hold. I see that you have a comment about Chris Christie. We'll get to you right after this breaks. Please hang on the line. Anything you want to talk about, 615-737-9986 is the number to call or text. This is the Chris Hand Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hanford, Jeff Eddy's Efficient Heating and Cooling. Guys, it can be so hard to find somebody you trust when it comes to these large home repairs. And as we're getting into colder mornings, you're going to be cranking on that heat, to get the chill out of the air. Don't crank it on and then realize it's not working. Call Jeff Eddy and his crew to come out and service it before you crank it on. That way you can avoid any breakdowns. Here's the thing. Some of these companies, they're going to find something wrong with your machine. They're just going to pressure you to replace it. Want to know why? Because they make more money that way. But with Jeff Eddy and his crew at Efficient Heating and Cooling, they're a small company with big service, and they just want to make sure you make the right choice for you, an informed decision. And if that means replacing a part instead of replacing the unit, they're fine with that. I mean, because Jeff Eddy and his crew just want to do what's right, and they have proved that time and time again. So if you need to get your heating unit serviced before it starts getting cold, if you want somebody to come out and give you a second opinion on your HVAC, call Jeff Eddy and his crew. With Efficient, they offer up to 18 months, same as cash financing on your next unit. They're a diamond contractor with Mitsubishi Electric and an Elite Pro partner with Rheem. So go to their website, efficienthvac.net. That's efficienthvac.net, or call 615-784-4424.
Well, the nation is moving toward impeachment of another sitting president. We've got the full details coming up at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Oh, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Sorry about that. Max just started waving at me. I was like, what's up, dude?
Well, I was like, okay, he's taking his time.
No, I was letting the music
He
breathe.
likes his bed, yeah.
Well, no. So Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Chris and so I was editing that Chris Christie audio. Chris Christie doesn't see evidence against impeaching Joe Biden. He must be the only one. He must be the only one.
There is a lot of smoke around the Hunter Biden and Joe Biden business relationships, and we need to have a thorough investigation of it. I hope it happens on two levels. I hope Congress uses its oversight capability to be able to do those investigations, and I hope that the special counsel, now completely empowered, will do that as well. He needs to reestablish his credibility after the ridiculous deal that he signed off on for Hunter Biden, which he's now backed off of because a judge forced him to back off of it. But I don't see evidence yet that would support impeaching Joe Biden.
Oh, weird. Thanks, Chris Christie. Thanks. Ronnie in Murfreesboro. You're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Ronnie, what do you think about Chris Christie's comments?
Well, first of all, Chris Christie, I didn't realize he even had access to evidence that they have on him. I mean, I would think he'd be just like me. He doesn't see the evidence. That's the House of Representatives that hold that. So I don't know why he's running his mouth other than he's up there on the fence trying to get votes on both sides.
That's the only running he does is of his mouth, sir.
He's a washed-up politician, so we can just write him off, whatever he wants to say.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Thanks for the call, Ronnie. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, no evidence for impeachment. So sorry, sing-songy McCarthy. Chris Christie does not approve. I mean, to be fair, he said, yeah, go investigate it, go check it out. He just doesn't think there's a there. I don't know. I think there's plenty of evidence, but I could be wrong. Crazier things have happened. But yeah, big news today. Kevin McCarthy announcing inquiry into the Biden impeachment. It feels like it's a little bit too late. Like, I feel like this should have happened a long time ago. I'm happy that it's happening. I think that a lot of us should really take a step back and appreciate this moment, because if there's an impeachment inquiry, it's going to lead eventually to an impeachment. I'm convinced. I don't think that you can do one without the other. Like, if you're actually going to investigate this and do the inquiry, it has to lead to impeachment.
To results.
It has to. I mean, I listed off all the evidence, texts, emails, WhatsApp messages, voicemails, the emails referencing the big guy, the 1023 forms. I mean, the suspicious activity reports of wire transfers. Like, there's just so much there that if you're really going to go down this road and honestly look at it, I can't imagine it doesn't lead towards an impeachment. Luke in Shelbyville, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You got a comment on Chris Christie, Luke. What's up?
If they're saying there's nothing there about Joe Biden being crooked as I'll say a politician, then they're in on it. He's got something with him, trying to make money off everybody else, just like the damn Bidens have been doing.
Hey, I mean, it wouldn't be a bridge too far for me to believe that. I mean, if you look at the video of Obama and Chris Christie hugging, they seem like pals. Yeah, they do.
So, too easy, man. Hey, love your show. Good luck.
Hey, appreciate you, Luke. Thanks, man. That's really nice of you to say. I swear I don't tell people to tell me that they like my show.
Checks in the mail, Luke.
Yeah, checks in the mail. Yeah, I mean, and Mac, you gave me a weird look. You've never seen the video of Obama and Chris Christie hugging?
No, my look was just disgusted. No, I don't want to see that video. I've luckily avoided it to now.
I'm sending it to you.
Dang it, no.
I'm going to make him watch it during the break. 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Ken Weaver's got the headlines.
$11:30 on the dot this Tuesday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got some rain in parts of Middle Tennessee that's going to usher in this cool down we've been talking about. Full forecast coming up in 2 minutes. Got an hour-long delay in traffic if you are 65 southbound in Goodlettsville. You've got road work blocking the right lane right before Long Hollow Pike. And House Speaker Kevin McCarthy today.
I am directing our House committee to open a formal impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden.
Yeah, this would put congressional investigators in a much stronger position when it comes to obtaining information that they've said they've been unable to get from the Justice Department about its probe of President Biden's son, Hunter Biden. And now that the FDA has given the green light to the Moderna and Pfizer one-shot COVID boosters, the CDC is expected to sign off in the coming days, which means shots could start going into arms later this week to anyone who wants one. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey folks, Paul Winkler here. One of the things that we see from time to time, well, way too often, is this. Let's say that you go to a financial advisor and they say, hey, you need to set up an investment portfolio, and what we need to do is we need to have some of your money in stocks or mutual funds or ETFs or something like that, and we need to have something fixed or guaranteed in your investment portfolio that'll protect you against the market downturns. And quite often what they're talking about, they may not use this word, but often what they're talking about is putting your money into some sort of an annuity, like an indexed annuity or something like that, or a fixed annuity. And what they're doing is they're saying, hey, let's put your money in both of these, which sounds really good. And you should. And typically in an investment portfolio, you do want to have fixed investments and stocks as well in the portfolio to protect against inflation. But here's what happens when you manage a portfolio. Let me use a really, really simple example. Let's say I have a portfolio and I got stocks in there. Then I have my fixed income, my bonds in the portfolio as well. And let's say I have half my money in each. When stocks really do well, what we want to do is they're going to be overweighted in my portfolio. I own too much of them because they've done well compared to bonds. It was supposed to be half and half, and now maybe it's 70% stocks and 30% bonds, let's say, or something like that. So I want to sell some of this and buy some of that to bring it back to 50-50 and back and forth throughout time. Well, the problem is when you're managing a portfolio and rebalancing in that way, bringing it back to the original portfolio mix of half and half in my example, I'm going to have to incur a trading cost or a commission or a back-end surrender with the annuity. It doesn't make any sense to use that product in this particular manner. Why do people do it? Well, the reason quite often is this. Commissions are very high with these products. And a lot of firms, they actually require their advisors to recommend a certain amount of annuities for every person that walks in the door. Now, typically annuities are used for a different purpose. They were actually designed for a totally different purpose. And that was distribution toward the end of life. When somebody looks like they're going to run out of money, they're annuitized. Now, let me tell you something. One study showed there was only like 5% of annuities are ever used in that fashion. Most often they're sold as an accumulation vehicle like this, and they were never really designed for that purpose. If you want to learn more, call us for a free 15-minute phone call or go to our website, paulwinkler.com. The number 615-851-1950 or paulwinkler.com. We don't do anything on commission, and we like to rail against these types of things and help investors do what is in their best interest. paulwinkler.com.
11:35 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. So we spoke earlier about Joe Biden giving out $6 billion for hostages to Iran. Getting 5 American hostages, and they've been planning it for weeks, but they decided to notify Congress on Monday, September 11th. It's pretty cool. What a good look, right? The optics couldn't be worse. For a party that is so concerned with optics, the Democrats, I'm a little bit surprised that they did that. You would have think they would have waited, a couple more days. Well, the optics are just getting worse. Ayatollah Khamenei marks that $6 billion on 9/11 with a speech celebrating America's demise. Oh, gee, thanks. So we give them $6 billion for the Iranian hostages, for the American hostages from Iran. And the Iranian dictator, this is from Breitbart, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, celebrated the demise of the arrogant power of America in a speech in Tehran on Monday. Yep. 22nd anniversary of the September 11th attacks. We're giving Iran $6 billion for hostages. And Iran is celebrating the demise of the arrogant power of America. Khamenei's remarks, in which he celebrated that America has weakened and will become weaker, preceded a report by the Associated Press claiming on Monday that Joe Biden agreed to waive sanctions on third-party countries to allow the transfer of $6 billion in frozen funds to Iran out of banks in South Korea, a further concession as part of a prisoner swap first reported in early August. It's just so disappointing. It's not like we're shocked that the Biden administration would do something like this, but it is disappointing. The initial reports on the deal suggest that the Iranian terrorist state would release the 5 Americans in exchange for a handful of Iranian convicts in America and $6 billion. But the Americans in question have only been released out of the country's notorious Evin prison into a house arrest and are reportedly not free at this time. The reports citing the Iranian mission to the United Nations claim the money would travel from South Korean banks to Qatar. The concessions reported on Monday, September 11th, are reportedly meant to facilitate that transfer by not punishing banks aiding the transfer for violating existing sanctions. This is not a ransom. That's what John Kirby said when he was speaking about this on CNN in August. I mean, this has been in the works for a while, and John Kirby says it's not ransom.
And certainly I could understand why the common man or woman out there might say, that's a ransom payment. I mean, I'm glad these Americans are getting home, but that's a ransom payment.
Well, a couple of things here. First of all, negotiations are about giving and taking. And there was no universe in which we were going to get these 5 Americans home without some bartering, some compromising with the Iranians. And that bartering is ongoing right now. So again, I don't want to get too far ahead of what it's going to actually look like, the scope of the negotiation and the deal. But on this ransom, this is not a ransom. And it's important to remember that the account from which money could be accessed by the Iranians is an account set up in the previous administration that allowed other countries to import non-sanctionable goods. It's not something that the Biden administration created.
I mean, it sure feels like a ransom to me. Does it feel like a ransom to you? 615-737-9986. It smells like a ransom, looks like a ransom. I have flashbacks to pallets of cash. But Ayatollah Khamenei's remarks on Monday, they didn't mention the $6 billion agreement, nor did they dwell too much on September 11th attacks. But the Supreme Leader instead warned Iranians to fear alleged American plots under the Islamic Revolution, but claimed such schemes were the last gasps of a dying power. This is what he said. The arrogant power of America in some European countries has weakened and will become weaker. That was according to the Iran Press TV state propaganda outlet. Khamenei claimed the world was in the process of transformation away from the era of America being the world's dominant superpower. I mean, it's weird, but some of it rings true. It does feel like we are turning away from the era of America being the world's dominant superpower. It certainly feels like those in power in the Biden administration are arrogant. It's disappointing. I mean, the arrogance to send this to Congress on Monday, September 11th of all days. Crazy. Khamenei went on. He said the main lines of this transformation are several things. First of all, the weakening of the world's arrogant powers. They themselves say that the indicators of American power in the world, like the economy, are declining. One of the most important indicators of American power was the strong American economy. They say it's declining. Yeah, and it is. I mean, Joe Biden, he's good at crashing two things, economies and bikes. That's what he does. He crashes economies and bikes. Day by day, the new powers are rising. This is a great global change, Khamenei celebrated. Despite the alleged great global change, Khamenei claimed that America remained a threat to Tehran through alleged plots to use human rights issues to turn the Iranian people against their repressive leaders. I mean, it goes on and on and on. But yeah, no big deal. The same day that we give them $6 billion for hostages, in form of a ransom that they tell us is not a ransom, Ayatollah Khamenei just craps all over America in a speech. So that's negotiating. That's negotiating in 2023, I suppose. Unbelievable. Again, for a party so hell-bent on optics, they really screwed that one up. Cut in Nashville. Is his name Cut? That's a cool name. Cut, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You want to talk about the Iran money. What's up, Cut?
This was definitely on purpose. And if you don't see that that's a ransom, you're blind.
Oh, it's absolutely a ransom.
And by him by them doing this like on September the 11th, that was on purpose, man. They know exactly what the optics are. It was on purpose, point blank, plain and simple.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to disagree with you for a party so concerned with optics to send it in on Monday. Like maybe they thought maybe their original intent was we'll just sweep it under the rug. Everybody will be preoccupied with 9/11. But yeah.
And Joe didn't even go to New York. I mean, he was Alaska?
Yeah,
really? On September 11th? Really? You didn't go to New York? Come on, man.
Not only was he in Alaska on September 11th, but he opened up the speech by saying this joke. He opened up with a joke.
Governor Dunleavy, it's good to see you. Governor and I have something in common. We're both from Scranton, Pennsylvania. I wish I had him playing in my high school ball club when I was playing. But I could have been an All-American having you in front of me.
Yeah, that's how he opens his 9/11 speech.
It's a wrap. What question? Have you heard about the governor of New Mexico? What transpired?
Oh, have I ever? Did you know that she hates the Constitution?
Yes. I mean, I'm telling you now, everybody take your bags because it's a wrap, man.
Man. Hey, I appreciate the call, Cut. And then just in case anybody wasn't aware, this is the New Mexico governor talking about your constitutional rights.
I can invoke additional powers. No constitutional right, in my view, including my oath, is intended to be absolute.
Yeah, no right is intended to be absolute. I got a text from JB that said, "Oh, Cut is right." Our friend Cut that just called. Cut is right. They hate America. They sure do. Sure seems that way. 3870 said, if it's not a ransom and for humanitarian purposes, why was it held until now? I mean, part of me wants to say that it was held until Monday because they assumed it would be swept under the rug and missed because it was September 11th. Maybe. It's all about optics with them. So maybe they thought after the pushback they received in August, when everybody was like, that's a ransom payment, maybe they thought that they could just slide it in under the rug. I could be wrong. I don't want to claim to know what they're thinking when it doesn't seem like they're ever really thinking at all. I mean, geez. 0441, first-time texter. What's up, 0441? Says, LOL, it's not a ransom, and it's Trump fault. Yeah, exactly. That's what our boy Kirby said on CNN back in August. He said, it was the prior administration, by the way.
To import non-sanctionable goods. It's not something that the Biden administration created.
No. It was Trump's fault. Orange man bad. Sandra texted in and said, Scranton, PA is known for the largest junkyard on earth. Just try and find that on the World Wide Web. All right, fair enough. The news desk last night seemed to downplay Biden not being at the 9/11 anniversary. She said that he was the only president to not show up on the anniversary. Yeah, not only did he not show up, but he made remarks where he opened with a joke, and then his remarks tailed off and ended with, he when he finally did mention 9/11, he started making up stories about 9/11, and he said that he was there the day after.
Ground Zero in New York. And I remember standing there the next day and looking at the building. I felt like I was looking through the gates of hell. It looked so devastating because from where you could stand.
You know what we need for the hotkey button? We need old school 90s Maury Povich going, and the lie detector determined that was a lie. That's what I need, Mac. I need that. Need some Maury in there because we need to play that whenever Biden says something like that. Like, no. Biden wasn't there the day after 9/11. In his own book, he admits that he was in D.C. Then you can go down the rabbit hole further and fact check. There's literally video of him in D.C. saying this.
The senator is recognized.
Mr. President, I can't think of any other legislative body in the world where you would hear the speech you just heard by the junior senator from Virginia.
So he was in the Senate. He was in the Senate. Unbelievable.
It's getting to the point, even when I'm back there in the afternoons in the newsroom, and I'm reading those comments, I'm like, do I need to fact check the president?
Yeah.
On his life, on what he's saying about his life. I have to fact check it.
Yeah. Yep.
That's where we're at.
Yep, you do. You have to fact check them in real time, like Hillary Clinton said at the debates. We got fact checkers and we're fact checking in real time. We're fact checking him. Unbelievable. 9108 says it really well. He's the most disrespectful SOB that I know, and so are his cronies. You're absolutely right.
Bingo.
Disrespectful. I mean, if he's not making up stories about where he was on 9/11, he's trying to tell victims in Lahaina that he knows what they're going through because of the house fire where he almost lost his Corvette. Do we have a body count yet on how many people perished in that fire in Lahaina? Like, everybody in that government should resign. Everybody in that local government. I got some pushback. Said Joe Biden could have been talking about the Pentagon. No. He literally was talking about the wreckage of the Twin Towers. He was fact-checked. We fact-checked him. 5866. Come on, man. I was in the Senate, got on an Amtrak, went to 9/11 for ice cream, then went back to Washington, D.C. It's terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah, that Lahaina death count standing at 115.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm sure. I bet.
That's back 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. They're purposefully not releasing those numbers. I mean, what a gaffe. It's just terrible.
And that report, that's you can go farther back than 2 weeks. You can go 3 weeks back with 115 being the report as far as people died in those fires. And that's just with 5% of the burned area left to search. So they're trying to kind of skew this as
5% of the area left to search.
We've already done all the searching. This is it.
Oh, yeah.
That's what they're saying.
Everybody else must be in that 5% area if they can't. That's so lame, dude. That government is so garbage. So garbage. It's a blue state, by the way. It's a blue state.
Very blue, right?
Weird. I mean, everybody should just resign in that state. Everyone. Like, what a garbage response. And they don't want to tell you the numbers because they know about the optics, which is why I'm so shocked that they pushed through that Iranian thing, the hostage payment on 9/11 because of optics. Like, they're always so concerned about optics that I can only assume that they probably thought they was going to sweep under the rug. That had to be what they thought. That, okay, we'll just slide it through on 9/11. Nobody will notice. Well, luckily, my friends, we're here to notice. That's what we get paid to do. We're professional noticers. And we will notice things. whenever we have the opportunity. 11:50 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Hey, if you haven't followed me yet, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, and I'm on Truth Social. All of them are at Chris Hand on air. Hit the follow button. I will follow you back. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is Chris Hand. This is the Chris Hand Show. Thank you for being a part of it. Matt Murphy, are you still on location in the living room?
I'm not in the living room, Chris Hand. I'm in the home office, as we like to say.
Ooh, I like that.
Also known as a bedroom that I've taken over as the home office.
All right.
It's actually not a bedroom. It is my office. But, yeah, I'm here and ready to go. 100%. Wish I was there. I'm back tomorrow.
All right, cool.
Is what I'm told.
Sweet. Who's telling
out of
you
quarantine. The powers that be, the
Heavens.
bosses.
All right.
Big boss Allison, slightly less big boss Charlie, and shorter boss Dan. I've all told them.
Listen, I think that you can capitalize on this and get an extra week of vacation.
You know, this is the idiot that I am. I was told, hey, if you are more comfortable in doing this, go ahead and stay home for the week. And my dumb self, I said, no, I'm coming back on Thursday. My first day was, whatever. They do some sort of 0 day plus 5. I don't know what the formula is. But anyway, I'm back tomorrow. I cannot help but to see you. That's what it is.
You're so sweet.
Yeah.
I know. But, hey, I think there's something to be said about being able to do the show barefoot.
I'm going to win a bet. When we start Super Talk TV, I know you'll be driving home, Chris, but maybe check it out a little later on this evening on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, because I'm going to win a bet. And you'll see. That's a professional tease.
All right.
Anyone wanting to see how Matt's going to win a bet, you have to look on Super Talk TV when Super Talk TV cranks up.
All right. I'm excited. I will be watching like millions upon millions of others will as well, sir.
I'm excited, too, because we've got a lot to discuss, not just Joe Biden. Obviously, that's on the table. Impeachment's on the table, but a lot of statewide stuff going on that I'm going to get into today. So listen in.
All right. I can't wait. Matt Murphy's on his way next. Thank you for joining me on the Chris Hand Show. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. On day one of House lawmakers returning to Capitol Hill after the summer break, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy announcing he's directing the opening of a formal impeachment inquiry into President Biden over his alleged conduct over his son Hunter Biden's